My name is Candrice Jones, and I am the playwright of Flex. I wanted to really write a play about girls' high school basketball in the 90s in the South when we first found out about the WNBA, and also some of the things that my high school team and I faced. When I first started writing the play, I would probably say my audience was me. And it didn't really go any further than that. It was a love letter to my years playing high school basketball. And then that audience kind of stretched with the people who live in Durham, Arkansas, which is where I'm from, even though the name of the town that the play takes place in is Plano, Arkansas, is very much so based in my hometown of Durham, Arkansas, and the people there. I'd heard the idea many times that the more specific a story is, the more universal it could be. So I kind of just stuck to my guns with that, with the language of the play, with the landscape of the play, with the situations that took place in the play. Even though I would love the play to be shown in 1,000 different theaters and 1,000 different places, that audience is still the audience that I think about while I'm continuously developing this play. I would love for young girls to see it all over the world, especially young women athletes to see it all over the world and see how they do or don't relate to the basketball issues as well as other issues in the play. But, you know, at the end of the day, that audience is that Southern Black woman audience, with the hopes of anyone outside of that audience can get the universal feel of it. Other Candrice Jones plays, wow. I've written 3 full-length plays. Flex was my second play that I've written. Crack Baby was the first. It also takes place in rural Arkansas. It's also about the 90s, and it's about how the crack epidemic was viewed as an effect on children, as well as like the economy of the people all throughout the 90s. Another play that I just finished writing a really strong draft of that I'm super excited about right now, actually. You know, once this crazy pandemic is over, I hope that audiences can see my play, A Medusa Thread, live on stage. It's not set in the geography of the rural South, but it's like set in a purgatory that hovers over the rural American South. It's about how we in Western culture talk about sexual assault. Who gets assaulted? What are the presumptions of that person's life trajectory after they get assaulted? In this play, Medusa, who we all know as the Greek Gorgon who had snakes for hair, she is a beautician who runs a beauty shop in purgatory. Once people die, if they are victims of sexual assault, they come to her beauty shop and they get the chance to get one final hairdo before they cross over into their chosen afterlife. I saw the beauty shop as a metaphor for when women, especially I know Black women, where it's like one of the first places that you walk into where you tell people how you want to be physically treated. And that person, the beautician, is supposed to accommodate you in however you know, in whatever you ask them to do. I saw the beauty shop as a really great way to create dialogue around exchange of power. You know, when you walk into this place where you're getting serviced, your consent is saying, I want you to do my hair. And I'm telling you what kind of hairstyle that I get. And if I'm not satisfied with that, if I don't like something that's going on, I communicate to you know, that to you as well. It's one of the first places I feel like young women are free to like express their voices and, you know, take on their power. I wanted to create this world in which you have not only women, but men who have experienced sexual assault as well are grappling with exchanges of power. And the play that I'm writing now, I'm excited about that too, is entitled Leaving Teaching. It's kind of the sister play to A Medusa Thread. In Leaving Teaching, a very young school teacher who is in debt for various reasons, she's also a virgin, decides to sell her virginity to get out of debt. I started thinking about writing this play Well, I started writing it last year, and then COVID hit, and I was like, wow, can I write a play about, such an intimate act in the time of COVID? And I was like, well, COVID has raised the stakes of intimacy. So like after I thought about it, I was like, this is the perfect thing to write right now. My plays are about women who have dualities, that make hard choices. I love that. Yeah. So most artists wear several hats, especially theater artists, because it's such a collaborative process and there's so much to do in the theater. I would like to be a dramaturg one day, even though I've only actively dramaturged maybe one full-length play. At one point, I used to teach a short playwriting workshop that I started and led. So I guess that could be seen as like one of the hats that I wear. I always wanted to get into lighting design, but I haven't been in theater very long. If I were to walk in a community theater to volunteer right now to do their lights, the answer would probably be no, because they're like, our light board is a sacred object and you are not going to tear it up. I've done a little acting, just a little acting. Honestly, I think every playwright should act so we can get a feel of what we're asking people to do when they agree to perform in our plays. I am a poet. I started out writing poetry. I've written short stories before. I like playwriting more than anything. I just love the whole process of theater that comes along with theater. I want them to feel gathered, like within themselves. Like I want them to feel like they've had an experience that has made them or has helped them understand this little bit of the world that they may have never experienced before. By experiencing that story, they understand a little bit more about their own desires and impulses. For me, one of the reasons why I love theater, why I love storytelling in general, is because stories that I love help me to understand my own inner desires and impulses, sometimes the ones that I might not be able to talk to others about, or I may not even understand until I've seen it performed or written. When I experience theater that does that for me, it's a sense of, I feel gathered within myself. Not to be mushy, but that's what I want. That's what I would want audience members to feel. I think the call to action with Flex, more than anything, would be to listen to one another, for people to be open and listen to one another. They're a family that's having communication problems. Toward the end, when they take that step to communicate with one another in the best ways possible, that's when they all truly can become a successful team. Another call to action would be women's healthcare. April has to leave the state to get a medical procedure. The fact that healthcare is not accessible to all women, and based on what happened yesterday, may even be less accessible to all women. It's a problem. When I started writing the play and I was like, okay, she has to drive. They have to go from this point to that point so that, April can get this treatment. And it's not just 20 minutes away or less than that. That's a problem. To me, that would be the call to action that we need today.